In this tutorial, we're going to go ahead and use Photoshop brushes in order to create some social media visuals. Brushes are a great way to come up with some predefined characteristics like size and shape and hardness and some different things that you wouldn't necessarily want to draw on your own, and they can make some really fun stuff. So for this one, we're going to go ahead and make sure we're in Windows. We're in Workspace. We want Essentials. You're going to get this Learn pop-up. I don't like it, so I'm going to go ahead and close it down and minimize so I've got more room. Alright, so make sure you have downloaded the assets. The assets are either on Canvas or in Google Drive. You're going to want this one called coffeestains.abr and graphpaperbrushes.abr. Note you're not going to be able to open an ABR file and just see it. We actually have to install them first. I've also got some additional brushes available on the Google Drive for when you want to work on some of these on your own. All right, for the first part, let's go ahead and you're creating two assignments for this group. One will be the social media brushes that we're going to work on right now, and one's going to be an on your own. So let's go ahead into Photoshop, do a File, and New. We want to go ahead and make something for the web. We want our width to be, we're going to do something for Instagram, so we're going to do 1080 by 1080. We want to make sure that's pixels, not inches. We're going to be making murals. It's a square, so we really don't care about those things. Resolution is fine at 72, and we're going to go ahead and say Create. So now I have my artboard to create my social media visual. So the first thing I want to do is go find my brushes. So I'm going to go down here to my brush. On the right hand side, I'm going to go to the brush tool. I'm going to go up here to the top, and I'm going to go to the drop down. Within the drop down, I want to go ahead and grab the gear over on the right hand side. Over here on the gear, I want to go down to the one that says Import Brushes. With Import Brushes, it's going to say which one do you want. I've got a tool installed so I can actually see my brushes. You're probably not going to see it. Let's go ahead and load in those coffee stains. Alright, so now you'll notice that I've got a coffee stains in my brushes collection. Let's go ahead and do a drop down. You can see all those different. You can always resize this panel, make it a little bit bigger. If you want to see different things, I like to have brush name, brush stroke, and brush tip showing so I can kind of see all the different elements that are available. So if yours doesn't look like mine, go into the gear and make sure all three of those are done. Alright, let's go ahead and import that other brush as well, which is the graph paper. So I'm going to go here, I'm going to go to Import Brushes and grab that graph paper and load. So now I've got it installed as well. I already had them installed once before, so now I've got two of them. So I'll have to go back and make sure I take some of those back off. Alright, so next thing we're going to do is actually start creating our brush. Now what's different with a brush when you're using it is that you can't really alter it very easily after you've already drawn it out. So make sure that you've got everything set before you go. So let's go ahead and pick a foreground color. I'm going to go ahead and start with my graph paper. For the sample I did kind of a funky red, so let's go ahead and choose a red. And make sure that we select our brush. So I'm going to go here to my brush. I'm going to come down here to my graph paper and choose some type of one of the graph papers. I'm going to go ahead and choose the 2477. You can choose any one. Now if I go over here and start rolling over, I can see how big that brush is going to be. Right now you can see I've got it set huge, so it's 2477. I'm going to go ahead and pull that down to about 900 or so, or you can just type it in 900. So I can kind of come over and see how big it's going to be. Now right now that panel's really in the way, so if I click up in the menu bar, it'll make it go away. And I kind of like that, so it's going to make the red graph paper. I'm making sure my opacity is 100, my flow is 100. And when I'm ready to go, I'm going to go ahead and click. And now my brush is on there. So now you'll notice it's really hard to, you could go through and transform it a little bit because it's on the layer. If you want to make sure that you can play with it, make sure you put these things on different layers. So I'm going to go ahead and add another layer so I can put my coffee ring on that in case I want to change it. So let's go ahead and create our coffee stain color. The sample is going to use, we can actually put a color in. So I've got 2F, 240B, and that's going to give me that coffee color. And then you say OK. I'm going to go up here into my brush. And I'm still on my graph paper, so I want to make sure I grab my coffee stains and rings. And you can choose any one of them. Let's go ahead and, which one do we like today? We can look at this one. That's kind of small, it's kind of dark. This is going to be more of a ring. It's pretty big, so let's go ahead and bring it down. Now it's too small. I can always go over here and start using my P and change the size of that. Now once I hit click, it's going to be there. So I want to make sure I get it pretty close to the way I want it to begin with. So let's go ahead, I'm going to kind of center it and click. Now notice that that opacity is pretty light. If I wanted to make it darker, I could just stamp a couple more in the same place and get a darker effect. So that's one of the nice things about the opacity with those brushes. Alright, so now I want to go ahead and add some text. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my type tool. Now in my type tool, I want to go ahead and grab the flood standard. Regular at about 200 points. I want to go ahead and center it. And I'm going to put the words, "Get it done." So it's going to drop in this lorem ipsum, which is just kind of some dummy text so you can see what it's going to look like. So this is in all caps, so I'm going to say get, make new line, it, done. Now this is going on its own layer, so I'm going to go ahead and grab that. It is centered, so if I go to my text tool, if I highlight what's here, you can make sure you center it. It looks a little weird off to the side, so I like it centered. Alright, and then so we can see each of those different elements is now perfect for what we want. You can always turn the eyeballs on and off to see which each of the layers is. Make sure it's what you want it. Alright, so let's go ahead and do a file, save as, and make sure we're in the correct folder. I want a first initial, last name, underscore, social media brush. Never use a period. That'll tell it to go to a different directory. Social media brush 1. And I'm going to go ahead and save it as a PSD. And now I'm also going to say OK. I'm going to do a file, save as, and I'm going to go ahead and save it as a JPEG as well. Because it's the JPEGs that you can upload. Go ahead and tell it to be maximum. That is what you're going to go ahead and upload to like Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, whatever it is you're going to use it on. Alright, so for your second part of the assignment, you're going to go ahead and do the same thing and create a different social media visual. Yeah, I have given you a link to a couple of different places where you can get some cheat sheets about the sizes. Maybe you want to make some type of profile cover for LinkedIn. Totally up to you as to what you're going to do with it. Then you're going to go ahead, install some additional brushes. Go grab those off the Google Drive and create that second social media visual. So playing with brushes, pretty easy, pretty fun. You can do a lot of different things with them, create kind of a different look and feel in case you're looking for a special element for your publication. They also work great with logos. And look forward to seeing what you come up with.